Square Enix has always been producing the highest quality JRPGs, but many of them focused on a similar style. Anime sword characters most often in a medieval or fantasy setting. These are some of their biggest games, but we shouldn't forget about their smaller ones. There's a specific DS game developed by Square Enix and Jupiter with a very unique style that we've never seen out of Square before. This game uses nothing but comic strips and 2D sprites to tell a whole story from Square Enix on the DS. This is unique. This is all about sticking from the crowd. Welcome to Shibuya. You have 7 days to survive. Work together, fight together, but win alone. This is a rapid-fire review of The World Ends With You. Let's see what this game offers in less than 5 minutes. The World Ends With You is a Nintendo-published game developed by Square Enix. It was released in 2007 but was ported to mobile and the Nintendo Switch by hand. The version I played was Final Remix on the Switch, docked mode. Let's begin. Beware of spoilers. I'll start calling it TWEVY from now on, which is an abbreviation of the long name. First off is the pacing. I can't decide if it's good or bad or in between. Just like Okami in my last video, TWEVY is split up into 3 arcs. Week 1, Week 2, and Week 3. TWEVY is played on a touchscreen or on one Joy-Con. I played docked, so I played with one Joy-Con like a Wiimote. You use the pointer to drag your character around and do attacks. Neku, the protagonist, wakes up in the Scramble Crossing in Shibuya, his home. He realizes that he isn't able to interact with anyone. He's invisible. He soon meets Shiki, who explains that they're players who've been put into a game. The game takes place in the Yuji, or underground. The Yuji is run by a composer. Each individual game is run by a game master. The game master commands Reapers. Reapers work in the game. Their goal is to erase players by using noise. Noise act as the enemies you fight. The player has to survive 7 days and complete a series of quests within a time limit while avoiding Reapers and noise to survive. If they fail, they get erased. You have pins that you fight with. Each pin has a special command, like use the cursor to tap an enemy, or tap an empty space, or draw a circle in the empty space, and etc. That's the base premise of the game. It starts off really boring and confusing as they don't explain much, and there's way too many story sequences in the start. Seriously, the amount of text boxes and reading you have to do in the first part is insane. A lot of time, it isn't very important either. It can be very boring at times while doing quests. It's mentioned that you have a time limit. This isn't really true. They'll say that, but in reality you have all the time you want. The characters in the game are on a time limit, but there really isn't a timer. If there's a 60-minute time limit to get from point A to point B, and you take 2 hours, nothing happens. As long as you get to point B, you're still fine. The timer isn't a game mechanic, it's just a story thing. Which is a relief because even getting from point A to point B can be too much. The map is the most useless thing ever. There are a bunch of letters on it, but they don't mean anything. They resemble the brands that are popular in the areas. If you wear clothes from the popular brands, you get attack bonuses. Okay, real quick, who uses that? The story tells you where to go. You're not gonna go, this area has brand A trending. I'm gonna go randomly fight noise there to get an attack bonus. Because why would you? If you get an attack bonus, it's only in that specific area. Erasing noise doesn't do anything for you. Maybe it's because you know which clothes to have on so you can prepare ahead of time. But then again, how do you know which area is which? And plus, just fighting noise with clothes and pins from a specific brand will raise its popularity anyway, so what's the point? The map is also not at all accurate. I can be going east and the map shows me going to an area which is north of where I previously was. Back to the trends, this feature was so underwhelming. I literally never used or cared. Even if my pins were all out of trend and weak, I still never pull up the handy dandy map to see which brands were trendy so I can get them swag attack bonuses. That leads into the next point. The attack bonuses and trend bonuses never came in useful for me. I didn't bother changing threads and pins. It is a cool thing to have though. The combat itself is alright. It's fun and satisfying, but it has downsides. It isn't perfect. You can use the cursor to do specific commands based on the pins you have equipped. Things like slash an enemy, tap Neku, vertically slash, and things like that. The thing is, it doesn't really work the best. Sometimes I can be slashing, but it doesn't register. I even try using a touchscreen, but it still doesn't work the best. And what's more annoying, because you need to tap and drag Neku to where you want to move him. In contrast to using a cursor where you just press B, and Neku automatically moves to the cursor, and press A to do attacks. That's way more convenient in my opinion. Other game mechanics include partners. These guys help you out a ton and are fun to use and sync with. The mind reading and imprinting is another feature. Mind reading is used a fair bit, but the imprinting is only used when they tell you to use it. That's a bit lame for a pretty cool feature. Something that's very cool is the story. It's always throwing itself off the rails and always pulls the unexpected. Right when you think it's hit the climax, psych, no. Right when you think you're done, nope, this is Shibuya, you do what they say. Seriously, the story and progression of 12e is insane. Love it, definitely blew my mind. The way it's told is a bit meh, but still pretty good. It's told in a comic book style, where characters move back and forth between different expressions. This doesn't really feel annoying outside of the first week. Cutscenes are crafted really nicely. It really feels like I'm reading or playing some sort of comic book. Characters are all very interesting. This game uses dialogue and gives you hints to paint a bigger picture. The dialogue of the characters also really helps set the tone for the game style. It really does stick out and look amazing among the Square Enix RPG family. You're welcomed into the world as a powerless peasant. This isn't your Shibuya. You're in the composer's role now. You don't make the rules, you follow them. You fight and you win. Every choice you have, there's only one option. Because once again, welcome to Shibuya. You have 7 days to survive in this extremely well-crafted world of incredible characters and incredible storytelling in an extremely unique style, all for the purpose of standing out. Presented in an explosive way, unfortunately, topped with limitations along the painfully plain and uninvolved UI and guiding. Still, the world ends with you, isn't afraid of sticking out, and living under the swag.